Hi everyone, my name is Robert Ridley, and this is my highlight video for my ePortfolio. To start with, I kind of just want to touch base on some of my goals when I'm looking at my professional goal for the next 1 to 5 years. I really just want to continue growing in my craft as an administrator and attending some conferences just to learn some different ideas and strategies. I'm currently serving as the Dean of Students at a private Catholic high school. And prior to that, I was an athletic director. So I just want to continue to grow and to learn and to be able to pick different people's brains about different ideas and strategies that they've used that's been successful. Also want to further my knowledge in crisis management just by attending different conferences or researching practices or attending certain classes. And also, one of the biggest things for me, and I think I actually accomplished that, or some of that this year, was to further deepen my knowledge in curriculum and curriculum development and implementation. One of the cool things about one of my activities I'll talk about here in a little bit was I went through and did some observation stuff with our Director of Instruction and Teacher Development over the course of this past school year. And for me, that was awesome. It not only allowed me to get experience providing feedback, but it also allowed me the opportunity to be in the classrooms and look at things from a different light and to make sure that we are using differentiated instruction and different things like that. So that was a nice change of pace for me. Instead of just dealing with discipline on a daily basis, I was able to get outside of my bubble and learn some new stuff there. For the next 6 to 10 years, definitely probably want to become a principal within those 6 to 10 years. Going into this upcoming school year will be my 5th year serving on the admin team here at Bishop Ward High School. So I think in the next 6 to 10 years, hopefully be able to take on the role of a principalship at some point. Also, I've been thinking very heavily about continuing on into a doctoral program for educational administration. I'm still up in the air on whether I want to do higher ed or just stay kind of at the high school level, but part of me has kind of always wanted it to be at the college level, so that's still up in the air for me. But probably at some point while I'm still in my 30s, I'd like to get into a doctoral program. And then just continue staying on top of current educational trends. I'm a huge believer in continuing to grow and learn. I attended a Sisters of Charity college. I went to the University of St. Mary, and that was one thing that they instilled in me was just being a lifelong learner and being open-minded and being open to different perspectives, and that's something that I cherish greatly. So I've kind of carried that over into my professional and personal life as well. Some personal goals that I have. I kind of just I got to make sure I'm spending that quality time with my wife and kids. So just continue to carve out that time. It can be busy for an administrator. We have a million things going on and people pulling you in 1,000 different directions. But it's imperative for me that I'm a good father and a good husband. So just making sure in my daily schedule, I carve out that time for them as they're the most important thing to me in my life. Just to continue to eat more healthy on a daily basis. Kind of going through this last school year, I really started doing this. Actually ended up losing about 30 pounds. So it's been a good experience for me. So I just want to continue eating healthy and exercising regularly. 6 to 10 years. I definitely need to going along the lines of carving out some time for the family. Set a date night. That would be very good for my wife and I, just to get away from the kids a little bit. Love our kids, but it's always good for us to have some quality time together as well. So that's definitely a plan of mine. And then continue on the trend of eating and exercising. And then one of my overall biggest goals that I have, my wife as well, eventually we want to buy some land and just build a decent home for our kids to grow up in. So hopefully we can do that a little sooner than later over the course of the next 6 to 10 years. And then beyond 10 years, there's actually 2 on there. I was having my wife review this, and she was looking over it. Definitely want to travel to Europe and also want to do an African safari at some point. Don't know if that's going to be 10 years down the road, 15 years down the road, but just do some extensive travel out of the country. Just to view other things. So that's kind of my goals that I want to touch base with you guys on. And then flipping over here, we'll kind of look at the leadership philosophy. In my philosophy, collaboration and being a person of integrity, being a positive role model, thinking outside the box. Those are the huge traits that I truly believe in. However, I also I'm a firm believer in building those relationships, not just with your faculty and staff, but also with your kids. I'm a firm believer that kids don't care what you know until they know that you care. So for me, those relationships are huge. You build positive relationships, and those kids, they care for you and they know you care about them. They'll do anything you want them to do. And they'll reach beyond measure for you. They'll run through a brick wall for you. So for me, I would say the biggest thing is making sure I'm being a person of integrity, making sure I'm having an impact on everybody that I come into counter with, and just continue to be that role model and show the kids that through hard work, anything is possible. So that's kind of my philosophy. Um, and then I kind of just want to look at some different activities that we did, and I'm actually going to switch over here and we'll check out some of these activities. One of the one of the big activities that I kind of did with the elementary level. I went to an advisory board meeting at one of our Catholic grade schools. The principal at this Catholic school was my former principal here at the high school. And this past year she moved over, so it was nice of her to let me come in and kind of get some experience at the elementary level. The elementary level was definitely the area I was most nervous about, as I really have very limited experience at the elementary level. Even though my wife is an elementary school teacher, my experience at the elementary level is very limited. So one of the activities I did was I attended this advisory board meeting. And through this, they were just kind of talking about some of the new business that's going to be taking place. People were making suggestions through that. The stream update, that's just like our STEM, but the R is the religion piece that's added into it for the Catholic school system. So just kind of going through that information. And so I chose this activity because it allowed me an opportunity to visit with stakeholders in a different light at the elementary level and at the parish level. And it was cool for them to be a part of the decision making process. I definitely think that was a good idea, and a way to incorporate them into the decision making process. Another area was when I'm looking at category 2 here under teaching and learning. So we did some walkthroughs. We went through a couple of classrooms. The one that we did kind of a more formal observation on was in a kindergarten classroom, and you can see kind of over here my artifact for it. That was the walkthrough form that the principal uses. And then we kind of did a walk through some of the other classes, and one of the really cool things that I ran into that I really enjoyed was watching the kids at this level learn about CPR and how to conduct CPR and use AED machines. I thought that was really cool for the elementary level. Another one of the activities that I did, working kind of with difficult situations. I was on a panel for a discipline hearing at this elementary school. I chose this activity because it's good to be able to work through these and to be able to remain calm, cool, and collected, and to help out one of our elementary schools when I can. So yeah, I served on this discipline committee, and basically we went through the process. The student explained kind of what took place, what went on, and then the panel made recommendations to the principal on whether or not the student should come back, and if so, should there what consequences, or is there going to be a behavior contract or different things like that. So that was just a couple of my elementary activities that I did there. Kind of flipping over to the secondary level. And this is where I obviously feel most comfortable. I tried to stay away from things that I do on a daily basis. So before we start looking at this, so I really didn't put much discipline areas or add much of the discipline pieces in this, as that's what I deal with on a daily basis. I think there was one thing that I did put in about the discipline with detentions. But other than that, I tried to stay away from it. And I also tried to stay away from the master calendar and things like that, and school schedule, because those are things that I do on a daily basis. So I tried to reach out outside my bubble and do something different. So one of the things, one of the activities right off the bat was our map testing data. And so the director of teaching and learning and our principal, we all sat down and looked at our map testing data from the fall, winter, and spring. It allows us to track that longitudinal data. And for us, this was huge. Since I've been here, we really haven't made many data-driven decisions based on test scores or different things like that. So for me, being able to dive into something that I was kind of unfamiliar with was very beneficial to me. And so this data is kind of what drove our implementation for this upcoming school year in different areas that we noticed as high priority areas that we really want to focus on with our instruction and our curriculum. And so for me, this was a huge activity. It was we had 3 different meetings in the fall, the winter, and the spring. And so that's kind of what's going to drive our instructional strategies for this upcoming year. Another activity that I did here, one of the ones I wanted to talk about was I served as an admin for our one of our largest fundraisers, which is our Uptown or our auction. We held it at the Uptown Theater. This is one of my favorite events of the year. This year I was able to sit at the admin table and kind of rub shoulders with some of our business partners in the community, and so this was a really good opportunity, and I really enjoyed the auction. And like I said, this is our biggest fundraiser of the year, so there's a lot of time and effort that goes into this. We have to go and set up prior to, clean up after, and then so yeah, it was a huge success again this year, and so that's always a good event that I really enjoy. And then another big area that another activity that I did here. So I helped with our director of instruction. Her and I kind of piloted our portfolio speaker series, Finding Our Truth and Beauty. And so we invited in these speakers, and they came in. We try to do once a month, but the man here in this picture is Ed Dwight, and he is an alumni from Bishop Ward and has done great things all over the country, especially with African American pieces of art. He does sculptures that are all over the place. There's plenty in Washington, D.C. and all different kinds of places. He was one of the first African American astronauts. And so for him to be able to come back and talk to our students, I thought that was huge. So with the Portfolio Speaker Series, we invited all these speakers to come in and kind of just talk about their experience and how they pushed through adversity in order to get to where they are. Another activity that I completed at the secondary level, when I managed organizational systems, so the detention system, this is the only piece that I threw in from the discipline side because we really revamped this past year our discipline system and how they're submitted. So I created a Google form that allowed the teachers to submit, and it automatically sent me their responses, and it enabled me to then collect data in this Google spreadsheet. And so that way I could look at this data to determine, kind of, or the attention coming from one period or one time of the day, or so it just kind of helped me be able to determine the facts of the situation and things like that. And looking at some district activities that I did real quick, there was a couple of big ones that I wanted to touch on. One of them was I attended the Latino Enrollment Institute. Our board kind of recommended that we attend this Latino Enrollment Institute held by the University of Notre Dame. I received 23 hours in training just on how to better engage the Latino community. And since we are 76% Hispanic at my current school, this was a great experience for me. I also took part in our strategic planning meeting. We're looking at putting in a new 5-year strategic plan. So at this first meeting, we were just discussing some different community partners that are trying to identify some community partners that we thought would be beneficial to us. So in summing it up, I hope that you take the time to kind of look through some of my other activities, and I really enjoyed the program, and I look forward to any questions you may have. Thank you, guys.